Welcome to the Municipal Light Board regular meeting, June 13th, 2012 at 2:30 p.m. Call the meeting to order at 2:30. And this meeting is being video recorded and audio recorded. Our first agenda item is meet with Solar Energy Hub to review proposed solar energy projects. So, yes, you're on.
Okay. I have a handout that I gave that we can walk through and share, and what it truly is just an overview of who we are, some of the projects that we've done, and why we're here today. So I also want to introduce my team. I've got Tyler Gallant. He's with Solar Energy Hub as well. He's responsible for new business development out here for us in Massachusetts. So he would probably be one of the main points of contact for any new type of projects if there were any out here. And then you want to introduce yourself.
Don Bowen from Meridian Associates. We've been involved in 15 to 20 of these types of large-scale ground-mounted solar projects throughout Massachusetts. It's almost in all four corners of Massachusetts. And also, obviously, the wind turbine projects in Ipswich and ongoing in the towns. Welcome. Thank you.
And my name is Maggie Randall, and I am with Solar Energy Hub East, which is a division of Solar Energy Hub LLC. We are a national developer of solar energy projects throughout the United States. We started off in California doing several projects there, where our model is that we build the projects, we own the projects, we're responsible for all the maintenance, the operation, all the financing, and then any of the energy that is produced by the system typically goes back to the building owner at a reduced cost. We understand the model of municipalities and some of the differences, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but we started off by being a solar developer who owns and maintains and operates solar systems. We were launched in 2010, and we wanted to come up with a way to make solar energy and green energy affordable. We know that the biggest part of why people aren't getting into renewables is because of the amount of money that it costs to get started. So we came up with a model that tried to make it more affordable for people to do that. In our first year of operation, Solar Energy Hub built and operated over 78 different individual solar systems throughout the United States. Our key offices on the next page, Solar Hub Utilities is our Hawaiian affiliate. They are doing a lot of construction there. We have over 29 megawatts of solar projects throughout the islands in Hawaii. It's one of the top producing solar states in the U.S. They have great solar rebates, both federal and state, that we take advantage of. And we currently have over 34 megawatts of projects. 29 megawatts is with a bunch of groups, and we have another 5 megawatt project. And most of those are land projects. Solar Energy Hub East was created to take advantage of the East Coast. I grew up in Massachusetts. I'm a Dorchester girl. Lived in the city for most of my years, and decided to take a look at Massachusetts and to see what kind of programs would work best for us out here. We have an office in New Jersey. We did quite a few startups in New Jersey solar projects, and we currently are looking at anything that has a federal or a state tax credit or rebate. In Massachusetts, we have an SREC, a Solar Renewable Energy Credit, so we're looking at Massachusetts as a very strong opportunity for us to come in and do some solar projects. We currently have about 12 megawatts of projects under control right now, of various sizes. But the key to our success has been our partners. And Don here being one of our with Meridian Associates, we like to look at local people who understand the processes for each of the individual states. Interesting enough, everybody who's doing solar has their own way of doing it. Each state has their own program, so there's different applications, there's different processes. Everybody has something a little different, so trying to navigate and make sure that we're doing it correctly. We like to align ourselves with local people. For equipment, that's very key. We look at top quality, tier 1 panels, inverters, and all of our equipment is very top of the line. Our contractors are local. We do a lot of solar on rooftops. So in order to do that, we have to make sure that we are aligned with roofing companies to make sure we have roofing warranties, dry-roof warranties, and roof are in good condition. So we have partners here in Massachusetts. Carlisle Roofing is one of ours, and Rowley Roofing in Winthrop is one of our key partners as well. Rowley Electrical, Rowley, is one of our installers. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They have over 260 electrical engineers in Massachusetts. They are one of the largest, and they're throughout Massachusetts and other United States. The way our model works is, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is we look for opportunities to create green energy through solar in different areas throughout Massachusetts. We do that by identifying a property in a location that is open to having us work with them. So the municipalities came into play quite a little bit ago. We were first told to stay away from the municipalities because it was difficult to work with them, and that we should mostly focus with National Grid and Star and the larger utilities. We did that, and we found quickly that we call it the black hole of National Grid. You can submit an application and you can take months and months and months for that. And it was very frustrating because we knew we had a good program. We had people that wanted to work with us. We had landowners and building owners who wanted to go green, who wanted to work with us. We had money and everything ready to go and would sit and wait and wait and wait. So we decided to start looking at the municipalities and, okay, maybe they are different, but how different and what is it that we can do to work with them and make this a win-win situation? So we had some success early on with RMLD, Reading Municipal Light District. So we went in and we met with the people there. Jared Carpenter was one of the key people that we worked with. And we explained our model to him, and his first reaction was, well, I don't know if that's going to work because we have all these ins and outs and there's a lot of things that are different with solar for municipalities and we're kind of limited. So we spent a lot of time and we came up with one project that we wanted to work through with him. And said, okay, here's a project, let's see how we can do this. So we actually now have 3 solar projects with RMLD. The first one was a fairly large one. It's a 1.64 megawatt system. And it's a roof-mounted solar system on a building in Wilmington. So we came up with that one, and then in tandem, Tyler found another one that was a 234 kilowatt system for a building owner. So we had 2 various sizes. So we had a smaller one and we had a bigger one. And we said, okay, how is this going to work? So we spent a lot of time. We brought Rowley in, who's our partner for installing. They brought their engineering, who does the one lines and does all the layouts. And we decided to sit down and figure out how we could do this. So we came up with a program of being able to have solar energy hub, build a solar system, and a property within the municipality. The building owner benefits, the landowner benefits by us giving them an annual lease payment for using their space. So if it's a roof mount array, we take care of their roof, we make sure they have a 15-year warranty, we'll pay for any upgrades or a percentage of the upgrades if they're doing an entire redo. To make sure that that roof is solid and sound. We work with the structural engineer to make sure that we get approval to put that weight on top of their rooftop, because snow loads here in Massachusetts are an issue. So we wanted to make sure that we do that right away as well. So every project that we do, we send in a structural engineer. We make sure that we can handle the weight, the 3 or 4 pounds per square foot on that rooftop. We then sit down and we come up with what seems to be a fair amount of a lease payment to pay the property owner. And then we're 100% responsible. And then we decided that on a typical model where we're able to give the energy that's produced by the solar system back to the building owner, well, we can't do that in the municipality, so we understand that. So 100% of the energy that is produced by any solar system that we put in goes back to the municipality. And we sign a PPA, which is a power purchase agreement, to commit to sending 100% of the power that's produced by that system back to the municipality. So we've created a PPA that we've worked with. We negotiated all the terms with RMLD, so we've created a template that works for both of us, that we're happy with. So we negotiate the rates and the terms. The building owner's happy because they're leading the upgraded roof. They get a solar system, they get a lease payment, and after the term of the lease, which is typically 15 years, the building owner then is able to purchase outright the system from us at fair market value, which is very low at that point, 15 years down the road. And then they can continue to use 100% of the energy that's produced by that system for the remainder of the life of that system. And the reason is because of the municipalities, as we understand, nobody but the utility within the municipality can sell power to anybody else. So that's how we do it. So there's no sale of the power, it all goes to the utility. Building owner is made whole by having the police come in. So that was the model that we came up with. We also understood that because of that third-party arrangement, where Solar Energy Hub owns the system, that there's a property tax that comes into play. So we've been able to absorb that. I know that has been an issue with some of the utilities saying, who pays the tax? There's a tax that comes into play here. We've been able to work on our model that we absorb that tax, that property tax as well. So all of that's taken care of. So that's our business model for moving forward. If you want to take a look at, and I know I didn't follow the presentation like I did, so if you got a little confused, I apologize for that. But we take care of, and again, with all the different issues of us owning the system for the term of the lease, it's typically 15 years, and throughout that 15 years, we're responsible for all the maintenance, all the insurance, anything that goes wrong with that system, which typically is in its pretty front by itself. If there's snow or there's anything that's stopping that system from producing, we take care of that because there's a monitoring system that's in play. We'll know before you know if there's anything wrong with that system. So before the building owner or the landowner even is aware of it, we'll know because we're monitoring it. And the way that we get financially whole by putting the system in there is we take advantage of federal tax credits that are available for installing solar. We also understand the SREC market here in Massachusetts, so we can trade the SRECs. So those are the things that we get out of putting that system in. So each party in this 33-party arrangement has a benefit at some point. So that's how it's broken down.
What happens if the homeowner doesn't want it after 15 years?
Then we take it down.
Take it down.
Yeah, we take it down and remove it. The system is generally could produce solar for typically 30 to anywhere between 30 and 40 years.
Oh, 30 to 40 years. I thought it was-
There's a 0.5% degradation in the system. So if you take a look at that per year, a 0.5% per year. For the, and what I did in here is we have two projects that we are currently talking to property owners here in Rowley. One is, it's Country Gardens, and it would be a land, a ground system. So after the term of the lease, they would then own it, and then at that point, they could either come to you and do a different arrangement where they would send the power to you to another PPA. We're only responsible for the first 15 years of the arrangement. Like I said, as well as time, we're responsible for any maintenance issues, operational issues, tax issues.
No, I know we don't have any zoning for that this time. Yes.
Right.
But that would be something you'd have to go forward.
Right. And we work, and that's why we've got partners that will help us do that. But before we do anything, and that's why we're here today, before we do anything, we want to make sure that we're the type of company that we want to work with you. We want to understand your processes. If you have something that you need us to do differently than others, we want to be the first ones to come in and say, hey, we're interested in doing this. We have a landowner or a property owner who wants to do solar. Will this work for you? Will our model go with what you're interested in? And if not, if you don't have a process in place, let's sit down and figure out the best way to do this. We're not going to come to you and say, hey, we've got a system that we've already pulled, plug it in and see where it goes. I mean, and there are people out there that want to do things like that or tell you, I'm going to do this. We don't want to do that. We want to say, hey, we're interested in doing this. How can we work best with you? So that's why we're here early. We have site control for one of the properties. The other one is a potential person who has some interest and said, figure out if it's something we can do, and then we'll have more conversations. And again, what is the process? How do we work best with you? This is who we are, and this is how we like to do things. So where do we go with that? We'll reach out to building inspectors, electrical inspectors, we do that all early on as well to see if there's anything that they require that we need to know about as well. So, with that, does anybody have any questions for me?
What size unit are we looking at?
I'm sorry.
What size unit are we looking at?
On the Country Gardens, it's a 1.5 megawatt system you can see in the back. What I did is I put in some layouts. The person who does our layouts is pretty good. He'll take a picture of the property, and then he'll lay it out, and then he'll tell us what his idea of what a good array would look like. He takes into consideration shading issues, different times of the year, what looks best as far as that goes. This one is a ground mount. We're limited by the size of the property. I believe it's a 4 to 5 acre.
Yeah.
5.9.
5 acres. So we're limited to the size of the land. For a rooftop, of course, we're limited to the size of the rooftop. And we know that there are certain setbacks and lanes and all of that needs to happen. So we follow the OSHA requirements of that one. And then I also put in that presentation, there's a PV watts, which is an estimated output of power per year. Actually, I think in that one, it's a PV watts will show you per month. And then I usually take a chart and then do a 15-year projection.
Yeah. And you go for the tax credit.
There's this one.
What are you gonna get later on? Must be a
Right, there's a tax credit that's involved, and then there's also the SRAC.
What is the rate you look for? You must have a rate.
A rate of utility, it goes anywhere from 5.5 to 6.5 cents. And then there's the kind of escalated.
Down in Booth, and it's a nice, right on the road.
Yeah, that's the one that Tyler's been talking to.
Yeah. Just waiting to hear back on proposal that was sent out.
Oh, it's not in yet? It's just a picture?
Oh, it's somebody that's
Are you
showing,
selling down in Booth?
that's the one Tyler's been talking to that has shown interest in our program. Again, we didn't know where you were in the process, so it didn't make sense for us to try to get people excited about coming in and selling solar if it wasn't something that we could move forward with. So we're trying to pull back a little bit, but then again, in balance it by waiting until we did have a few people that were interested. Country Gardens most especially to see about moving forward.
When you work with the other towns, do they have the zoning in place already?
The other projects that we had, they were all roof mounts. This is a
Oh,
roof mount,
okay.
so it would be different, but the roof mounts, that was no problem. So we went to the building inspector, we went to the town first, and there were no problems at all with the zoning for doing the solar on the rooftops. So with this one, moving forward with our pipeline, we've got about another 6 or 7 megawatts of potential projects in other areas. Several of those are ground mounts. So we understand the need of bringing in a group like Don's to help us with conservation and zoning issues. And then if you wanted better pictures of that, I'll have a little backup practice. I'm really little now. So there's a copy of that presentation on that. In red for Rowley, that's how I do that.
Well, I can put that in the wash.
It also has all the layouts. It has the key dots. And it also has a copy of the PPA agreement that's been successful for us. So it'll show you some of the terms that are in there. And I also provided in there a one-line electrical diagram of a project that's not in here. We haven't gotten to that stage yet. We didn't put that kind of investment into that at this point until we know if there's going to be next steps. But I did put in there a layout of another project in an area, RMLD, that is going forward. So you can take a look to see how it would be laid out and all the, where the inverters would go and the types of equipment that we use and how they suggested that we set that all up. So you can take a look at that and then let me know if there's something that we would need to do differently or how it would need to be changed. But I make sure you have it right at this point.
So then we don't have anything in place at this point
Right.
to go forward, so anything that would give us a model would be good.
And that's what I tried to share. So any of the documents that we have used, interesting enough, the PPA that we use with RMLD, and I've talked to several of the other municipalities, they said, oh, are you using the same law firm because we have the same PPA? So that's kind of being used by several. So we've taken liberty of making it pretty generic, and so we could be able to walk through and talk through all the terms of that.
And I think with Maggie's, the approach she's taken, or they've taken, is that the PPA isn't just an agreement with a third-party private property owner, for example. The PPA is with another municipality, Reading, I'm sure you know some of the folks over at Reading, the Reading PV, Marblehead, which all have their own municipal light departments, and they share a lot of common concerns, a lot of priorities are similar in a lot of instances. So I think it's a big help to have one that's already been adopted, improved and vetted by another municipality that you can at least look at and you can edit as needed, but at least it's something that's being accepted by a series of towns. It's a real
And they've been, both Jared Carpenter and Jamie Brento over at RMLD have made known that they would be willing to talk to anybody who has any questions or, find out what they saw were, successes with some of the challenges and, give a reference about us. Is that it?
Okay. No question for you? No, can I ask you a question about Island? Island?
We can ask that, we talked about it.
Islanding, I think, was on the,
On island? On what?
I have a concern that the electricity is going to get lost.
okay, islanding to
I mean, on a system like this, it's going on in primary, correct?
Yep.
My thing is,
Both projects or just
Well, one, we're a lot further along, the other one is still in the concept phase. And again, that's why Tyler's here, because if it is something that you wanted us to take a look at other projects or potential projects that are out there, Tyler would be the one that would, start the conversations with the property owner and make sure that it was something that they liked our program and were interested in.
my question, I'm an inspector a few times, so. When a homeowner does it, and now they're selling it back to the utility, I don't see it, that's on the second. I don't see it going in a line, going through the transformer and going up to prime. I don't see that at all. I could be wrong. I can see it on the secondary. But we have, say, 3 houses on the rest of that line in the secondary. Nobody's home, they go on vacation or something. We're paying the money, we're giving them money for credit, and we're not even using it.
Well, I think what, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're referring to is more akin to a net metering policy.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, like I said, not the sheet, okay, this is a bigger system. But that was my question. Can you answer that anyway? Good thought, maybe.
Well, it switches using 2 meters.
Yeah.
One for the solar and one for the house, I believe. And I
Yeah,
think Reading
I
is
just,
doing the same
just
thing.
did some inspection.
So you know what the unit is doing as well as the house.
But I asked the guy who saw, I said, where's it going? He says, good question. He did the insulation.
The electricity, the ions go in the grid, and whether it's the municipality being responsible for the generation through SEH, or a homeowner that has it on the roof, the electricity goes in the grid, and you have through your, it's not ISO, but through the organization that monitors all the electrical generation input, you get a credit for what goes into the grid. And the ions that go in there, you don't know, nobody really knows where they go. But if you take the wind turbine usage, for example, just to give you an idea, it's different, but what's produced by that turbine, you can see, never leaves town farm realistically, because the sewage treatment plant will absorb whatever you can produce at the end of town farm.
Well, I tried to explain to Dave, people aren't using electricity, and it doesn't flow.
Well, it goes into the grid. It goes into the grid, and that's why there's 2 meters, as Mark said, there's 2 meters that measure what you use versus what you produce, and that's where you end up with the net accounting. It's on an annual basis, but it's read monthly.
Right.
So,
But it's still, it would be in the crib, or a homeowner type thing, it would be in that same neighborhood crib. With the step down transformer. If they don't use it, it would then go back through the transformer into the primary side and keep going. So, but they thought it would just stop.
no, I had to put it in my home 4 years ago, and that worked seamlessly, flawlessly for 4 years. So we didn't get credit for it. We monitored it. I charted it, they charted it separately, but it worked very well. We didn't have a problem.
Yes, with our smaller roads, we do not have a lot of industrial. The food one up on Route 1, we probably not have a problem because there are some Russian customers up there. But in the residential areas, we have traffic. We don't overload everything. So,
But you've got 3 phase out on Central Street.
oh yeah, so that's no problem.
Yeah.
So. One unit's probably not gonna be a problem. We do 10 and they have a problem.
Yeah, right, exactly. You proposing 20 megawatts, that would be different, but something like this,
Consider
it might not be Central Street.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, we need to do the engineering on that too, just to make sure. The
I
last
think what Maggie's trying to describe is they're here in principle to show you the form of what the potential structure would be, because it would be premature, and it would put everybody in an awkward position if they ran out, did a design, got, everything all set, and then come in without the pre-consent of the board and the town. And I think this is the appropriate route, because they're taking the tack that we want to work with the towns. We don't want to, this isn't going to be forced on anybody. If you want it, I think they're very willing to invest in it and take advantage of it. And the tax credits are something, obviously, the town has no tax appetite, and has no qualification for tax exempt. They're tax exempt, so they can't take benefit of the tax credits. So this is a hybrid opportunity for both the town and for the private sector to make this work.
Okay.
Very good. Very nice presentation.
Any questions, Ken?
No, I just think these 2 locations are probably good locations because you can't see them from the street. The public's not even going to know basically what's going on. Which is if you walk in the Salisbury and see that project up there, I don't know who's doing it, but it's a big solar unit up there. You can see it from 2 different streets, and it really stands out. And these are 2 good locations that nobody even see.
And also, if I could point out, it wasn't a challenge, it was just something that needed to be dealt with. For example, in Ipswich, they had a 1.5 mile of transmission upgrade for the wind turbine, which now can be used for the second unit and anything else they want to do down there. But the point is, where these are located, generally centrally located with reasonably easy access to 3-phase capacity.
Wherever the unit would be appropriate, the 10 megawatt solar farm, the first time ever coming to talk to you.
Well, that probably would be the problem for us.
But again, we're hoping that make it a win-win for everybody here and not the rest of it.
Okay, well, I think we need to know. Go on further with our requirements as far as getting our PPA together and other requirements that we're going to need to do, rules and regulations, et cetera. Then Mark's been working on that for us, so.
And I'm available to work with you on any part of that. I've given him the blank documents that we've used before, so you can work through that, customize those as needed for you. And,
Which you already have. I mean, we have the PPA being reviewed by the same people who determine this.
okay, perfect.
And we also have the engineers that we use, is PLM, have reviewed the interconnection.
Okay.
And feel it's something that we could work with specifically. So I guess it's really,
Yeah.
we're kind of in a limbo as far as filling in numbers and moving forward.
Well, I could do that, I think.
So I think both of those can work, but I mean, and where the next step is, what your time frame is on this, I think is something that we kind of know too. I think, I mean, I'm not speaking for the board, but I think the board is willing to entertain going into something like this.
Yeah, I don't think we want to close the door at all. Really, it's not all. I mean, it's something that we've had customers approach us and not energy. So this is a good way to say, yeah, we have one. We do have some other, we have some things like that, some water. But something right now in the backyard.
Well, may I suggest then the next step is I'll pop in the PPA and the interconnection agreement that you want to use, just to give you an idea of what all the numbers would look like from our side. And then we can commit to the engineering part of it, get our engineer to do the one lines and take a look at whatever it is that you would need so you'd understand how that would work. So if you're willing to entertain moving to the next step, we'll commit the funds necessary to do the engineering, to follow through with the contracts, and at least get you something more concrete in front of you so it's a real first project and not just the concept. If that makes sense, you can do it that way.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. I'll look at you. Great.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you. Thoughts since the last time we talked? You know, I did read through the bid document. And there seems to be a possible discretion between a 30-day notice and a 90-day notice.
Determine the accepted bidder for executed contract.
Contract within 30 days?
It's actually on page 7, item number 14.
Yeah. And we do.
I'm assuming, did we get more than 3 bids?
No,
No. So we don't have to worry about the return of the,
5 days. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that.
I'm sure you must know this bid security. When you accept the bidder and executed the contract, no notice of intent to award it and present it to the selected contractor within 30 days, Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays excluded after the date of the opening of bids upon demand of the bidder at any time thereafter. What does that mean?
What it means is they have to put out, when they submitted the bids, they had to put a bond up,
Yes.
or cash, but there was no cash. All there was is, two of them submitted a bond,
Okay,
okay, for the amount, and it was a certain percentage back, I'm not sure what the percentage was. It was a percentage of the bid.
5%, I believe.
Yeah, that they bid. And two were bonds, and one of them was a cashier's check,
Okay,
is what we received.
okay.
Now, this is telling us that we have to return the either bond or cashier's check to the person who is not awarded the bid. We only have 30 days to do that.
Okay.
So that only gives us 30 days to award the bid or not to
Well,
award it.
excluding Sundays, holidays. and-
Exactly, which takes us to June 19th, which is next week.
Okay. So that's the ones that we didn't make the contract with. Is that right?
No, we have to make a contract with one of them.
Right.
So the other, and here, and theirs we will keep.
Yes.
The two that do not get the bid, we have to return.
Within the 30 days.
Within the 30 days, yes.
Now, on page 3, it
Yes.
shows the bidder agrees that his bid shall be good and may not be withdrawn for a period of 90 days. Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays excluded after the opening of the bids.
Yeah.
So which one of these takes priority?
Well, that's the bid, the other one's the bond. So the bond, I would think would take
Precedence.
precedent.
To me, it reads as though the 90 days is something that the company that provided the bid will adhere to. If
Have to live up to the bid amount.
at least 90 days, they will not change the dollar amount
Okay.
within that time frame, within the 90 days. Okay, so if you've got A, B, C, and D, so you got, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. They will not change that within the 90 days.
I think it also allows you up to 90 days to get the contract signed.
Signed.
We award it within 30, but have 90 days to get the agreement signed.
Okay.
But you still have to award something within 30 days.
30 days. Okay. Is there any other questions? No? So what's the next step?
We have 3 bids in front of us.
That's the thing, those are the bids.
We go with the lowest bid, which was
Valid.
Valley.
They met all the requirements of the bid document, as well as the other 2,
Yes, I believe so.
all 3 bidders.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Please be my guest.
we went by the lump sum.
Okay.
So the lump sum for Northern was 32,900.
This is
42, sorry. I think I went down to one another. Excuse me.
It's okay.
I mean, basically 84, 240. And then that would be the last one, and the other was 54, 688.
Who was it?
That's a year.
Valley Tree was the lowest bid, yes. Did you hear that, Dave?
See, how come we don't know that much?
Because I didn't know I was going to have this. This was at the last meeting.
We gave you that at the last meeting.
Because we didn't act on it.
You did not have one. You did have
I would have brought me copies.
one. You did have those. You could have kind of tabled it at the last meeting because the town employees had questions.
Right. I'm assuming you still live?
Well, I mean, we want to see what happens.
That's perfectly fine.
We're gonna share this, how come we?
I mean, yeah, I thought that's what you guys said at the
I
last
thought we
meeting.
were kind of share, we need someone.
Now, this 42, that's for 3 years?
Yes.
Or is it for?
That
42
is
a year?
for, what you have in here is for this training. What was on the agenda.
Yeah, that's in the package, so page 41.
That's in the package, that it was not specifically spelled out, but there is a spot when we sign the agreement that we put in the amount of days in which they have to complete that.
Okay, well, we have a total bid of 42, whatever it is.
900, yeah.
Now, is that per trimming period, or is that for the 3 years?
That is for trimming what's in the addendum, these sections,
Okay, and that's...
per phases.
So that's that's all for 2012?
No, I don't believe it is. It's not for 1 year, no.
3 years.
This is
It's 3 years.
split into 4 different phases. Basically, we will tell them which phase we want done over a 3-year period.
So we do just one of these phases over 3 years?
Well, there's 4 phases, so 2 of them will be done in 1 year.
Okay.
That'll be the discretion. That's pretty much why we get up at the top. This addendum.
Each phase of the price, the price of the price. All phases will be assigned budgetary system needs, additional phases to be added from reference zones, each unit price. Each phase to be priced at unit price, not some amount for the total bid price.
That's for them to do for us.
Right.
So this is what they bid to be able to get a general idea to find out who we could bring in to get a basis of what it would cost.
Okay.
They all gave a unit price as well as the lump sum.
Yeah. Now, we do have this, but this bid is good for 3 years. Is that correct?
Well, we can make it whatever we want. It was supposed to be set up as a 3-year contract. When we put this together, it was kind of pushed together quick because it was the filing with the state with the prevailing wage and posting that we had to get it out there. So that page wasn't corrected to the right thing, but we have found out that we can use it by using the wording in the agreement when they sign the contract.
Okay, so it wasn't a fatal flaw?
It's not available.
No. When we sign the contract, we do it.
Now,
Yeah. I'm just trying to find the,
Well, you can keep talking about it. You're looking for the contract, the signed contract?
Yeah, on the contract, which part that actually we can put it in a number.
I think it's page, look at 33. Certificate of insurance, project contract number. Liability,
That's the bond.
that's maybe one.
Okay, so page 26. Section E agreement.
Yeah.
The very last paragraph says the contractor further agrees to fully complete the project within blank consecutive calendar days of the date of the notice to proceed. In that, we put 3 years worth of consecutive days.
And we still get it for the 42,000.
Yes.
Now, we can just convince them to do the number of days you want.
Well, if they say
Well,
no,
they still
then
have to do.
they have to follow
They
that.
have to follow, they have to do what's here for that 42,900.
That we
We
decide,
can give them 3 years to do that.
yes, we
Yes.
decide how long it's going to take.
Now, if they don't complete it in that time,
Within the 3 years.
say the time is for a section, what do we get, what's gonna happen? Do we receive anything if they're not, if it isn't completed in the time? You know, on the contract, we're gonna have the, you know, something changes, a cheaper rate, or something happens because we didn't complete it?
Well, the contract is for them to specifically do this, the 42,900.
And yes,
What is on this amendment.
right, but in a certain,
So if they don't do it, we have the bond money to take back from them what's not completed.
so we can do that later.
Yes, that's why you have the surety going, yeah.
That's, okay, good.
Okay, now, the line crew's concerns were that we had actually did an experiment last year with them to see what the actual cost would be for them to do some of the tree trimming. Are we going to have enough work, do you think, to use them at times when we need the extra work?
I believe so. I mean, just from last year, that we didn't get this together, we're basically behind pretty much the whole, well, pretty much the first 2 phases that are in this packet are last year's training. So we're behind that much training already. Actually, what you have on the back of this, the back 3 pages, are all the zones within the town. It's broken up into 6 zones. These are put in this RFP for reference only. And on the right side on each zone, they say what year would be the 5 years since it was done. So based on that is the year that this should be trimmed.
Okay, that's, none of these have been,
What isn't that, what's on the phasing, what's here is,
yeah, that's what I was asking. Is this in that?
well, this is generated from this.
From this? Okay. So how much of this, is all of this in there, or just? Because we're giving a contract, and we're saying that this is the 4 zones that we want you to do.
No, this is a phase,
Okay.
not to be confused with a zone.
Okay.
Switches on the line.
I know, I spent a lot of time on this the whole I use the word phase because that's a specific amount of trimming. Like these phase 1 is Havel Street and Boxing Road. Well, Maple Street is actually under Zone 6, whereas Box Road is under Zone 5. So it's two areas that are in need of trimming, but other parts of those zones don't require the trimming. I tried to set the zones up so it was in the same area, but some areas are heavier that grow faster, so they require sometimes a more frequent.
I think that this year, you're gonna see an awful lot of growth. The grass growing in my yard keeps me up at night. Makes so much noise.
So I mean, and this has been true the last 2 years.
So, I mean, do you guys feel comfortable?
Well, well, two things, as long as you allow us to, do it again, I mean, I think we did a good job, and we definitely were cheaper when we ran the numbers, so.
Yeah, I mean, and that's,
And I know, but we want to keep the relationship, so as long as that's not so much money that, we're not allowed to, then that's fine with us. And the other thing is, Mark had said that we would do like the side streets and, driveways that we,
some of the private property stuff would be good.
and, but we're not gonna, it's gonna be a lot harder to do a 5 driveway section that hasn't been trimmed in 15 years. And
Oh, yeah.
to go down Main Street, so we're not gonna, as far as sections, we won't be as efficient as we were.
But even if we had,
I just wanted to, say that, because.
but even if we had the contractor doing it, I could be in the same.
No, I know, yeah, right.
So,
But if we took those numbers and compared them to their numbers, it would even out.
no, we have to take that into consideration.
Yeah, that's all, so.
Yeah, because it would take them longer. Rather than a standard section, it would be a normal section that you have to deal with.
Yeah, and so, but I mean, that's fine with us, and it'd be better for us by doing those through all of the years,
Okay,
so we can.
so what's our pleasure here, Dan?
And I gave you budget. Yep. This is what we spent over the last 2 years.
2 years.
Maybe you can answer this question. I tried to get hold of Mr. Kelly to find out if he puts a specific amount into the overhead line maintenance for trimming. Is that part of this deal? Because that's where the money generally comes out of.
Well, when I was there, we really didn't put money in, we took it out.
Yeah, but you have to put it in to take it.
Well, yeah, but you don't have to put it in until you spend it.
Okay.
That's when you put it into the line item. So, I mean, if there was a budget line item for that, you would follow it, and as you do the work, you watch the budget dwindle, when you get to the end. But I'm not sure that we even have a budget for that at that point, at this point.
Well, because I looked at what Bill Kelly did for March,
Yeah.
Mark and I were looking at that today, and there is, he was telling me which one was the line that we would take that money out of, so there is a maintenance overhead line.
Yeah, yeah.
And the expenses, so there is money in there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
we just.
Typically, they would just reconcile that at the end of the year.
Yeah, if we didn't know that there was a place where Bill actually put dollars just for doing trimming.
Well, I think it goes in the general fund, and it gets allocated to the various categories as the bills come in.
Okay, well, the three of you asked that question at the last
I
meeting.
think the only thing that actually gets something put into it on a regular basis is the depreciation account.
All right.
That has to be, and typically, when I was there, it was low enough so that we did it at the end of the year. We didn't do it on a monthly basis.
Well, now they do it on a monthly
Well,
basis.
yeah, because it's more money, so it makes it easier to spread it out over the 12 payments rather than just take a lump sum payment.
But at the last meeting, the three of you asked about budgets, and that's why we were, Mike and I were looking at it. I mean, there are some, there is lines here where there is money that is allocated, but, I mean, it's not just for that particular item.
Well, line maintenance covers a lot.
Yeah, because it's a lot, right?
So
Exactly.
it's not just.
So it's just not
So I
trying.
was gonna find out.
We were trying to find out.
They didn't have a budget just for tree trimming. They would basically look at the cash that we have on hand, make a determination from there whether they can do trimming or not. And just call them up, tell them
Okay.
to your street.
Do we have any cash?
Of course. Last thing, we had
What do you mean, Mark?
Can I just ask a question? Well, since, if that's what we're gonna do is the other trimming, like, are you guys gonna decide, how many times we come in and,
Well, I think
we're
that,
gonna decide if we want to check in?
Well, I was calling in this, actually.
Oh.
And having to do with what we're doing here was budget-wise. I mean, there's enough out there. I mean, basically, over the last 7 years, we've been averaging 25,000 a year. in Germany. Last year, we spent 12,000. These guys did 10,000. So if we're splitting 42,900 over 3 years, that would be 12-ish.
yeah, 4 would be 10. 4 years would be 10, 3 years would be 14, 6 to 3rd of that.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at is there's another 10 there. So about the same amount of trimming the guys did last year at the time would be about the same amount. Would that be about what you guys would probably, without getting burned out, that's about what you probably want to do, is about the same thing you did last year.
Yeah.
Or, and, I mean, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah.
And it depends on how it goes. If we find stuff that really needs to be addressed,
Yeah,
I mean, just to give it to these guys, and then,
yeah, I mean, we certainly can give value, if value gets the bid, we go with it, but value gets the bid. That's what we'll do. When we run out of money, then, and things, particularly this year with the heavy growth, we find some areas that are really bad. I mean, to me, it's a reliability issue. We definitely need to keep up with reliability, so we just do it. Certainly, if we can get our own crews to do it, that'd be good. So. Okay, what's next?
Do we accept the bid?
Are you guys good with that?
Yeah, no, it's excellent.
Yeah, seems very accept.
Yep.
Yep.
I want to word that we want to make a motion that we accept the bid for Valley,
Well, accept a little bit.
yeah, which is Valley, right? Right. And do we need a separate motion for the amended?
No, I mean, that's a maintenance issue. Basically comes under maintenance. If the department determines that there needs to be some maintenance done on the line, then they do the maintenance.
All right, so make a motion to accept Valley for bid.
Seconded.
Motion made and seconded to accept the low bid of Valley Tree for the tree trimming for a 3-year contract.
Yep.
Okay, motion made and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I didn't see you. Just a second.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is item 4, and it's approved minutes for April 11th, 2012, May 21st, 2012, and May 30th, 2012. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes?
Yeah,
Do you have any questions?
no.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion for the minutes for April 11th.
Do them all in order. Make one motion, put them all.
If you want to do that, that's fine.
It's simple, isn't it?
April 11th, April 21st, April 11th, May 21st, and May 30th.
Do that motion.
Make a motion to accept the
For the minutes of the
meetings for the meetings for those 3 days.
April 11th, May 21st, May 30th.
That's the 3 days, yep.
Y'all gonna make a motion?
Making a motion
Okay.
to
Motion made and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is number 5, and that is adjournment.
Who made the motion, I seconded.
Okay, motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.